Hello, my name is Jeremy with Faithful Guardian Training Center, and today we're going to be talking about the respiratory system. We're going to be talking about the respiratory rate, tidal volume, minute ventilation, dead space, alveolar volume, alveolar minute volume, kind of how they all play together. Starting off, your respiratory rate is really important because this is going to give you an indicator as to how well your patient's actually doing. Normal adult respiratory rate is between 12 to 20 in just about every textbook. Now, tidal volume is something that's measured in milliliters per kilogram. So, for example, if you have a 220-pound man, they have an approximate tidal volume of 6 to 8 milliliters per kilogram. So what this means is that 220-pound man, he's going to weigh approximately 100 kilos, 100 kilograms. So 6 times 100 is going to equal 600. 8 times 100 is going to equal 800. So that 220-pound man has an approximate tidal volume of 6 to 800 milliliters for every single breath that he takes. Now, knowing that tidal volume is very important for calculating your minute ventilation. All right. So, for example, if you have somebody with a minute ventilation is going to be calculated by taking your respiratory rate times your tidal volume. And this is essentially saying how much air is being moved in and out of your lungs within that 1 minute. So you calculate this by your respiratory rate times your tidal volume. So let's say that I have somebody who's breathing 10 times a minute, and they're that same 100 kilo patient, they're breathing that low minimum, that's 600 milliliters for every breath. So if that person is 600 milliliters for every breath times 10 breaths per minute, that puts them at 6,000 milliliters or 6 liters for their minute ventilation. Right? If they're breathing at 800 milliliters for every breath, then that puts them at 8 liters or 8,000 milliliters for every single minute that they're breathing. Now, that 10, that's below that low normal, but it's just a quick math to get the concept across. Now, you need to know that not all of that 6,000 or that 8,000 milliliters, not every last bit of that is going to be able to participate in gas exchange. So, reverting back to that 600 to 800 milliliters for this patient, he's only going to receive a portion of that to his alveoli. Okay, and what does not make it to his alveoli, what is not able to participate in gas exchange, that is going to be called your dead space, and that is going to be measured in milliliters as well. All right, the way that you can calculate dead space is a quick way to do it is you take your patient's pounds, convert that into milliliters, because 1 milliliter for approximately every pound that they weigh. So what this means is that 220-pound patient, he has approximately 220 pounds or 220 milliliters worth of dead space for every breath that he takes. So this means that 600 milliliters that he was breathing in, only 380 of it is actually going to be participating in that gas exchange. If he's breathing in that 800 milliliters, then only approximately 580 milliliters of that is actually going to be able to participate in gas exchange. And that is going to be your alveolar volume. Now, if you have the way that you can calculate your alveolar minute volume is you would take your alveolar volume, which you calculate from your tidal volume minus your dead space. So we'll say 600 minus 220 is going to equal 480 or 380. So what that means is that 380 times 10 for a respiratory rate, that alveolar minute volume is now going to be 3,800 milliliters a minute. And that is what's actually making it to your alveoli. And that is that alveolar minute ventilation. And that's how we know how much oxygen your patient's actually getting. Anytime you have somebody who may have something like a pulmonary embolism or atelectasis, whether it be from a right main stem intubation or you have somebody that has real bad asthma or even pulmonary edema, their alveolar volume is dependent on whatever it is that they have. So if you have somebody that has a right main stem intubation or somebody only has one lung, their tidal volume is essentially cut in half. because they're only going to be ventilating one lung. All right, and when in a normal patient, this is kind of where your Herring-Brewer reflex comes in handy, because in a normal patient, they take the normal breath, the deepest breath that they possibly can. The Herring-Brewer reflex goes into effect by initiating the stretch receptors that are in the chest that prevent your lungs from overexpanding. And that way they prevent alveolar collapse through essentially popping a lung. And this is going to prevent your patients from developing a pneumothorax, possibly a tension pneumothorax. And it's just one of those things that you need to keep in mind in your patients. And it's going to help you do a more thorough assessment and kind of have a better understanding as to what's actually going on with your patients.